How important was the opportunity for corporate hospitality to your sponsorship of Cows Week?
Right from day one, when we took over the sponsorship of Cows Week back in 1995, one of the first things that we looked at was how can we use this for corporate hospitality. We'd sort of identified that as a good way that it could help our business. And it was interesting, that first year I think we entertained around about 100 people, and then by the end of, after 15 years of sponsorship, towards the end we were entertaining about over 2,500 people. So it was a massive growth, but I think that probably indicates how important it was to us as part of our strategy. I guess for us, when we were bringing people to Skandia Cows Week, it's sort of welcome to Skandia world, in a sense. There was all the branding, there was, it was on the boat, it was on the shore side. Everywhere you went, you could see Skandia. So our guests actually felt that they were really part of it, as opposed to perhaps if you take them to Twickenham, which is a fantastic experience, but you're just another player in so many brands. So yeah, it certainly makes a big difference being title sponsor.
And the people you entertained, were they all clients or potential clients, or did you entertain other groups?
A real range of groups. We would entertain financial advisors who we're doing business with. We'd use it to entertain the media, so we could build a much closer, stronger relationship with them, and that trade media and consumer media. And we'd also use it quite heavily for staff, so we would get, use it in reward and recognition packages. We used it for team building, sort of getting people out on yachts, and everyone's sort of pulling the ropes. And the beauty of sailing really as a sport that in the hospitality is that you can actually take people who've never been on a boat before, give them half a day's training, and actually they can come away actually learnt a new skill and actually really gel together as a team. So it was a really great event for being able to entertain a lot of different people in a lot of different ways.
So what did the hospitality actually consist of? How did you entertain the guests?
We would have a variety of packages to entertain people, range from sort of one end of the scale was people who really just wanted to come and soak up the atmosphere, so they would be on a luxury motor cruiser, sort of sipping champagne, enjoying a bit of lobster, and just soaking up that atmosphere, coming on shore and becoming part of the shoreside entertainment. Through to people who wanted to have a go at sailing but didn't really want to race, so we would have sort of luxury yachts so they could again enjoy the trappings of a lovely day's hospitality, but have a go at steering a boat, pull a few ropes. Through to people who actually wanted to race. They wanted to come along, they wanted a bacon roll in the morning, they wanted to go and race. Very little food and drink on board apart from water. Get into the action and then come on shore at the end of the day and you enjoy the sort of after racing fun with the rest of the sailors. So it's Cows Week is a unique event for being able to offer that breadth of hospitality experience. In comparison to other events, and its desirability is really, really strong. I still think it has an air of mystery and a uniqueness. Although, over the period that we were involved as a sponsor, an awful lot of people sort of got introduced to the event that perhaps hadn't before. There's still a huge untapped market there of people who've never been, and I think it's got that air of mystery. People are not quite sure what they're going to come to. If you invited to the rugby or the football or the tennis, you pretty much know what you're going to in advance. It's very much a formula, and you know what you're going to get. Great days out, but pretty much the same as last time we went. Whereas you come to something like Cows Week, and particularly if you're racing, it could be very windy, it could be no wind. You could come first in the race, you come last in the race. Every time you come down, there's something new and different, and every year we were doing it, always brought up a new experience for people. And we would have corporate guests who, they wanted to come year after year. They had sort of proudly would collect their T-shirt with the year on, and because they just wanted to keep coming up and reliving that experience.
So what do you do now that you're not a title sponsor? How do you entertain guests now?
Last year, although we weren't title sponsor, we were still back at the event and still using it to take people racing and getting involved. We stayed in sailing sponsorship. We've now moved on to Skandia Team GBR, which is Britain's team competing in the Olympic classes. So we do a lot of hospitality around that, which is getting people out on ribs so they can watch and understand that Olympic racing experience. But also with that team, we're still getting people out in the water and sailing. We're just doing it in a slightly different way, but we've got a fantastic opportunity to put people on boats with Olympic sailors. which is just a fantastic experience. And we've had guests out on 49ers hanging onto the wire and just having an absolute blast. And that's a unique experience that we can give people.
Yeah. Now, you're an island resident. Do you think the island offers good opportunities for hospitality providers and as a hospitality venue?
I think the island is a fantastic venue for hospitality. I think perhaps it's probably hasn't quite woken up to what it can offer. Cowswick is an obvious one. Round the Island Race is an obvious one. But there's a lot of great events on the island. The Isle of Wight Festival, fantastic opportunity for doing hospitality for the right audience, as is the Bestival. I think it's a shame we've lost events like White Air, the motocross, which we used to have. Again, they would have been brilliant opportunities to bring people onto the island. And I think if you can get people on through hospitality, and of course they have a great time, they're more likely to come back with their spouses and their children, and all adds into the economy. So I think the island has a lot to offer. And I think what we always found, one of the nice things is that, and perhaps people, if you're a resident, you forget, is that making that journey across the water suddenly makes it into a very, very different experience. It's almost like they've gone abroad, they've had that water trip, and as a result, they're already predisposed to having a good time when they get here. So that's something the island could really sort of harness. Yeah. And I think there's still lots of opportunities for the island to grow the hospitality sector. What
changes are happening in the corporate hospitality industry in the UK at the moment, do you think?
It's certainly a lot tougher than it was. Everybody's budgets are sort of harder. We have to sort of prove worth a lot more. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced sort of trimming of budgets. I think if you're looking at hospitality at the moment, you've got to be 100% certain that it's really, really going to deliver something back to the business. Whether that's in sales or positive relationships, but you just want to make sure that the hospitality you're doing is really working for you. And I think is far more than ever, it's really, really important that what you're doing hospitality-wise is a real reflection of you as a company and says something about you as a company, as a brand. It's just opposed to, come for a day out and have a few beers with us. You want it to be working a lot harder for you business-wise. Within sponsorship, we measure it in two ways. We would look at a return on investment, so we would try and put some metrics around media coverage, how many the opportunities to see the brand, but also we would then look at what objectives are we trying to achieve. So that could be business objectives in terms of sales. It can be objectives with staff. There could be a much sort of looser set of measures. But very, very important that actually you've set objectives for sponsorship and you have a way of measuring them and you can marry the two together.
Now, of course, Cowswick at the moment still doesn't have a sponsor, and with these changes going on that we've talked about, do you think that will impact on Cowswick and its ability to host corporate hospitality?
I think with Cowswick not having a title sponsor, I think it can have an effect on hospitality. I think part of, when we were there, obviously we did a lot of hospitality ourselves, but a lot of other companies use the event, and I think part of the appeal is there's that real big buzz and sort of razzmatazz. Now that Cows hasn't lost that completely, but I think when you've got a title sponsor, that there's more flags and banners, and it's just the overall event just seems to have there's slightly more buzz about it, and then more people are talking about that sort of it's like sort of onion skins. Sort of onion skins, and it grows out and out and out, and we've probably removed a few layers of the onion, and as a result the hospitality's contracted a bit. So I think if they could get a title sponsor back, and I'm sure at some point they will, then we'll see that hospitality grow up again.